Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to this, your Sagittarius October 2022 reading and forecast. Hi, I'm Nigel Saint James, clairvoyant, and it's great to see you if you're stopping by for the first time, and welcome. And of course, it's great always to see the subscribers. And you know, don't you, that we don't have any video advertisements breaking into this content, so you get to enjoy the full experience. And speaking of good experiences, I've had the great pleasure of doing some one-on-one clairvoyant readings for a number of your Sagittarian sisters and brothers in the course of the last month from different parts of the world. And if you would be interested in having a one-on-one clairvoyant reading with me from wherever you happen to live in the world, just check out the information that's in the description box. But now, let's have a look and see what there is. We're going to take 5 cards because 5 is all we need to give us the thrust and the drill of what is occurring in October. So let's get this underway. This is an unusual, probably I think I would imagine quite a rare deck actually. There's the 6 of Swords. Yeah, it's a deck that you really don't see anywhere. At least I haven't seen it anywhere. There's the 7 of Cups. There is the Queen of Cups. Here is the Fool. What a great card to have for you, the Fool. Excellent. And here is the Queen of Swords. Now, what I might do is, I think I might use the back of these cards as a sort of a frame for your spread, because the back of the cards is pretty trippy and interesting. But anyway, now, come, sit down here next to me. We'll have a good close look at the imagery on these cards together while I do your reading for you. Now, this is what the back of the card looks like, incidentally. Sort of unusual, isn't it? Quite an unusual type of thing. Anyway, let's look at the Queen of Thrones of Water here. Now, this is quite interesting. If we look at the crest of if we imagine that was a crown, this crest of the Queen of the Thrones of Water, then what we have here is, it's an ibis with open wings. Now, the ibis is a water bird and alchemically symbolizes the lunar forces, and there is this moon in the background that's there. As well as representing the realms of duality and successful change from one form to another. Now, the ibis is a variety of stork, the stork bird, you know, the one that's often seen carrying babies in a cradle. It also, because of that, it also signifies the parental instinct. Now, the court cards, of course, can be of either gender, but naturally I'm going to refer to her as a queen. Now, she sits with her skirts pooled about her like water, gazing at her reflection in the river waters below. Now, I suspect that the signs of Cancer and Gemini are going to be important to you during this period here. Very much Cancer and Gemini, just make sure that's plugged in. And what I see here is that generally, you see, I think you're going to be very impressionable to the effects of other people and events around you during this time, because her characteristics, I think, depend mostly on the influences that affect her. She's very much at the disposal of every impact and impression. Now, you will, I think, actually be very intuitive during this period, quite a keen observer, maybe even dreamy, tranquil, sort of poetic. It might be time to think about that poem that you were always going to write. It's also possible that you could have some sort of psychic awareness. But she's also someone who's very much going to be influenced by these other card energies here as well, and I'm looking at this one in particular, which is debauch. But in any event, what you'll be able to do is you'll see yourself in other people, and you'll also see through others and reflect that back to them. And here's that reflection that we have here. Yeah, that's psychic awareness there, because you're going to be very interested in nature during this period. And nature is said to influence the pineal gland, and the pineal gland within the brain is in turn said to have something to do with psychic awareness. Now, I'm not sure of that myself, don't quote me, that's just what I've heard. Now, what I also see here is that by showing your feelings openly to other people during this time, you will become more beautiful. Now, there may be people around who don't understand you, so don't concern yourself about them. There are enough other people with whom you can share your feelings. But I am concerned that you could be influenced by the environment and other people, and it may be that you also find that this is a period, interestingly, where you could attract and use power to lead other people to you. But you need to be very careful of the company that you keep during this period. Make sure that negative or dangerous people or situations are avoided during this month, because that energy will infuse into you. Surround yourself with positive and good people, because that energy will infuse into you. Now, you open to your emotions and feelings, trust your feelings and live in harmony with them, and say to yourself, my openness and vitality makes me beautiful. Well, let's have a look at that other card that I had pointed out earlier. And I think this is like forewarned, is forearmed. Let's have a look at it anyway. And that's the benefit of these tarot energies. They can tell you what could happen if you don't do this. But you've now been warned to be careful of the energies that are around you. Here, let's have a look at it. Well, it says to be Venus in Scorpio. And I'll have something to say about that in a second. We have very dry, parched land here. But the good thing is that there's the green of growth and of life that's there. That green life growth is something which is good to see, and it says that there are in fact good things still continuing on in your life, even though this might have a feeling of being arid or dry, or things might seem unobtainable. They might seem unobtainable because this is a mirage here, and the mirage is, of course, a fake. What we do have rising from here, though, are things which are embryonic. These embryonic snake things in here. They are signs of wisdom and change. These things are not phases of the moon, nor are they planets. I think that they are light things called will-o'-the-wisps, which appear very often in desert areas, and they are light. They're desert lights, and when you move away from them, they come after you. When you go towards them, they go away from you. Now, they've been studied. They know it happens, and they have no explanation for that. In the background here, there are not shining new towers, but there are, in fact, the decaying monuments to dead dynasties. Well, what can we say about this scene? Venus ruling the third decan of Scorpio. And the third decan is the 13th to the 22nd of November. Look, Venus is the planet of love, and Scorpio is all about intensity, in-depth transformation, and exploration of the self and others. But I have a number 7 here, and mystically, I have Venus associated with the number 7 as well. So there's a double Venus. There's Venus in the numerology, and there's Venus in the astrology of the card. So Venus doesn't have any handbrake applied when it comes into Scorpio, so she goes in unchecked. But the thing is that in astrology, Venus is in detriment in Scorpio, and so Venus can't express its sensitivity and emotions properly. Instead, they can get channeled into negative addictions and intensity, which is the darker side of Scorpio, isn't it? It implies that you could engage in excess reactive behavior due to something that has affected you deeply and changed you in a way which throws up its own set of problematic issues. Now, it's called debauch, but actually the secret title, well, it's not a secret now, but the secret title is illusory success. And the card represents the working of Venus in the sphere of the mind, where her influence is by no means clear-sightedness. Now, we believe what we want to believe when we are under the influence of Venus, so be aware of that. It's time to open your eyes and take a look at perhaps a painful reality, and only by perceiving, by recognizing your own inner reality, will you be freed. Now, every further attempt to avoid it increases the stagnation of your emotional energy. But I don't want your emotional energy to stagnate. Let me say this. And as I say, this card can refer to things that have happened, and there could be a rumination going on here. Understand that sometimes horrible things happen to good people. Life isn't fair, nor is nature, is it, if you look outside? And life can be heart-wrenching. And if you're having one of those dark days, it's okay. It's okay to feel that darkness. When challenges come back to back to back, and it seems like something is after you, something is attacking you, something is attacking your journey, look for the lesson in it all. You grow through what you've gone through. The question is, are you willing to go through it? When these bad things happen, what are you going to do? Are you going to allow this horrible situation to dictate the way you feel and how you handle it? Are you going to fall over, fall down, fall apart? Or are you going to face this issue with courage and resolution? You know darkness. You've seen it before. So embrace it. Embrace the darkness. Don't look away from it. Own it. Walk one step after another. Never surrender. Remember that even the most wretched of times, don't pause in them. Remember not to stop. Remember not to hesitate. Take that first step and start walking. Always hold your head high and let your spirit rise. You are a child of the divine. Don't allow yourself a switch-off button. I know there is always an answer. No matter how dark that place may be, there is always a way out. Keep going. Hold on to that fundamental quality of faith. Have faith. Know that on the other side of your pain, there is something good. So is there some disappointment you have not worked out? Have you experienced something that was just a little bit too good? Have you overtaxed yourself or overdone things in any way? Oh, that's the monks out there. Say this to yourself. As I recognize and accept my shadows, they lose their power over me. Well then, good. Having said that, where are we going to go and see what... We might go to the Six of Swords, I think. We're going to do that. I think that might be... It's calling me first for some reason. This is quite a... Well, it's called science. I actually call it the Lord of Earned Success myself, rather than science, but let's go with this image that's here. And look, here's a sextant, right? These are used by astronomers, and in the old days astrology, well, even probably astrologers still. I mean, I'd use one if I had one. I just don't know where to get one. Here is, of course, a depiction of the universe, and this thing down here is a planetarium, really, which shows the way the planets move and the speeds at which they move and the signs through which they go. as I say, the Lord of earned success. Now, it's Mercury ruling the second decan of Aquarius, the 30th of January to the 9th of February. Now here, the air planet of Mercury finds itself in the fixed sign of air, which is Aquarius. Yeah, Aquarius is an air sign. It's not a water sign, even though it's depicted as a water bearer. It's the fixed sign of air. But the thing is, Mercury in astrology happens to be exalted in Aquarius, which highlights the intellectual qualities of this card. Now, Aquarius is an air sign, which is detached and intellectual by nature, and Mercury's ability to analyze brings you now a clear perspective going forward after this bit of nonsense that was going on here. So the astrology and the energy around this spread is suggesting a somewhat detached but balanced assessment of a situation is needed. You need to analyze something without bias and without too much emotion in order to get the best result. You know, Aquarius is also the sign of innovation and originality, and so it can also represent communicating in ideas that are new in unconventional but orderly ways. You'll have the ability to analyze and to unify ideas and have an all-encompassing vision. At last, you might say, an all-embracing understanding. You might say great, and objectivity as well. You'll have obtained intellectual clarity by learning from difficult experiences. Now, you have grown through tough times and now have a handle on life and can make intelligent decisions that will benefit your life. There's a greater level of awareness to your thinking and actions. Now, this could also mean that a situation that you haven't actually been able to come to grips with is now getting better, and you are coming to grips with it. You're now thinking out a better approach in dealing with the situation. This is strong analytical ability here, logical, scientific type of approach that's felt internally and expressed externally. And it can also be about communicating. Here's this Mercury aspect here, something new, Aquarius, in a well thought out and well-presented way. Do you know you possess the ability to perceive on different levels now and from different perspectives? Your understanding of things unites many different aspects. Where are and what are the ruts in your life? Trust your insight. Communicate in a way others will understand and allow the rose to unfold, and say to yourself, the rose of recognition blossoms in my heart. Well, we might then go to this other lady down here. Yeah, see, this is also along the line of, see, things are moving along here for you now. You're sorting out any residual problems that you've had. You've put your mind at rest. You're taking steps forward, one step at a time, and you are working things out. Now, Virgo and Libra are going to be important to you at this time. Now, her association with Libra, which I think you'll find here, with these scales here, obviously, connects her with justice. So I think that you will be receiving just results for your actions. And I think that this is all about making clear decisions based on fact and fairness, similar to the Queen of Swords herself. And we're looking here at someone who is, and I'll call her a woman for the obvious reasons, a woman who is graceful, very perceptive, a keen observer, a subtle interpreter, an intense individualist, and confident and graceful is what I'd say. People like her can acquire intense love and devotion from the most unexpected quarters. She's the watery aspect of air esoterically. And, as is seen here, she is very much to do with the cutting through of old masks and roles. Now, you can cut through them, but I'm not saying don't wear those masks. Just be aware that they are masks and that you do know who you are underneath it. You will, in following on from this Six of Swords that we looked at here, be rational, intellectual, logical, and objective. But this is saying that you must use your intellect to make an unbiased decision about a situation. Well, I think we can see that. Compassion and empathy may distract you, so you must go with your head and not your heart. It isn't a time to beat around the bush about a situation. Decide and act. Cutting through old patterns and masks. Have the courage of your conviction to move forward. Look, do you know, you are in the process, I think, of separating yourself more and more from old roles and behavior patterns. Now, this may bring some painful experiences with it, but it's worth it. The clarity you gain frees you. Which are the roles you most easily and most often hide behind? Are you ready to drop them? And as I say, observe yourself in your different roles. Some you will continue to play, but now with more awareness. You will play them until you no longer identify yourself with them. But say this to yourself: my only duty in life is to remain true to myself. And let's see what there is now. I just see opportunity coming to you now, opportunity abounding everywhere now that you, as I say, forewarned is forearmed. And as this woman was saying, be careful of the company that you keep. Surround yourself with good advisors, surround yourself with good friends, and don't surround yourself with negative people. Cut them out of your life. Now, here's an image of the Fool. There's a couple of things going on here. First of all, I like the fact that, you see, I'm looking at these colours here. For me, the Fool represents 0 degrees of Aries. Why? Because that is the vernal or spring equinox in the northern hemisphere. And the colours of green and gold are therefore particularly appropriate. Now, you'll see 3 arcs going through here. 1, 2, 3. 3 Ouroboroses, as they call them. You will have heard that expression before. It's like the snake that eats itself via its own tail. These 3 things are, from a mystical point, a reference to, and I won't go into it now, but they are the 3 veils of negative existence through which the spirit, and this is drawn as a man, but the spirit is actually neither male nor female, through which the spirit emerges almost like from the Garden of Eden into the tiniest minor pinprick of infinite light that is the creation of the material world, and then comes into matter. And then you take on a gender when you come into matter. This tiger here represents fear, and he is the one who walks without fear. He's not afraid of the tiger and has no fear. So he's coming into life without fear, even though with the foreknowledge that life is unfair and nature is unfair, as we discussed. Now, this is the symbol Aleph. That's the first letter of the Hebrew alphabet. Normally it's silent. It's a letter, but it doesn't actually have a sound unless it's placed with something else, which gives you an idea of what this infinite, connected to the divine being is. Now, the crocodile that's here. Look, in ancient Egyptian times, the Egyptians saw crocodiles in the Nile River, and they weren't able to make out what the sex of the crocodile was, whether it was male or female. I mean, they knew that eggs were laid and that little baby crocodiles came out of them. So they thought that crocodiles just spontaneously created life. And so this is a representation of spontaneous life. That's how I see it anyway. And I've never heard a better explanation of it than that, if I may immodestly say so myself. Now, he is the spirit of the ether. Now, he's very much associated, as I say, with the planet Uranus, actually, which is freedom-loving, rebellious in a sense. And I'd say here that this is a time where you now can get back to trusting, ready to take a risk, courage to stand your ground of freedom, independence, great creativity, great potential, possibility to take a quantum leap now for you, and listening to your heart's voice. I think you'll be in the present. There's a new beginning. There is something here, you taking action without any malice. But great opportunity for you now. There is nothing you cannot be. There is nothing you cannot do. There is nothing you cannot have. You are the most magnificent, the most remarkable, the most splendid being God has ever created. For who could reject such wondrous magnificence? But you do not know who you are, and you think you are a great deal less. You are your own rule maker, and you are the only one who can assess how you are doing. All you see in the world is your idea about it. Life will take off for you when you choose for it to. An idea becomes a thought becomes a word. Say it out loud. Words have power, and they reverberate all throughout eternity. A word becomes an action, and if you are going to do it, start, and having started, go all the way. Seize the opportunities in front of you now. Rejoice in them, and let no power on earth take them from you. Say this to yourself as well. I now follow my heart. I am open and ready to go wherever it may lead me. I am a radiant being. I am a living treasure. I honor and value the unlimited resource and courage which is within me. I respect the nature of who I am. There is nothing to fear. Great set of cards for you. Good job. Well, what an absolutely fantastic reading for you for this month of October. I hope you enjoyed the experience as much as I enjoyed providing it to you. You know, it's great. I love doing your readings for you each month. I really do, and I love it when you come by and stop by and have a look at it. It's good. It really makes me feel great. Now, one thing to remember, of course, is this: that until I see you again, remember that you are a legend, and I look forward to seeing you again next month. And until then, it's bye for now.